Hey guys, welcome back to Mower Repair. I'm sure glad you're here. Hey, this time we're going to go through this sweetheart right here. This is a fairly base model, but has big back wheels. The push, not the pull kind, where you do the pushing instead of it doing anything. It just mows the grass. It's up to you to tell it how fast to go and when to go. But anyway, let's dig into it and find out why this thing got thrown out. I want to know, so let's do it. Now this is the Yard Machines. I was wrong. It's a Yard Machine by MTD with that Briggs and Stratton engine on it. She's a 21 incher and she is a 550EX series. That is not horsepower, that is series. I have no idea how much horsepower this sweetheart makes. All right, first things first, let's see if we have any oil in this sweetheart. We do, but she's not very clean. Good enough to start it on though. After we get it started up and run for a little bit, if it'll run, then we'll change it out. We hate to throw good money after bad, so we will wait until that thing actually runs before we change the oil on it. Get some more lights going here so it's not quite as dark in here. Let's check the air filter on it. Holy cow. She's a new one. What kind of fuel do we have? It has some in it. It still smells a little bit like fuel. Not a heck of a lot, but a little bit. Tell you what, this thing does not have a primer bullet or anything on it that I can see. So let's just see if it'll actually start. We'll give her some tugs. See if she'll go. She certainly doesn't seem very excited about it, does she? Let's just give her a squirt of something flammable and see if she'll pop off. Give her a drink of the old carb cleaner. That's interesting. She actually starts. Just had to give her a drink. And it starts back up. Jeepers, I wonder why this thing was tossed out. Let's find out. Well, we know the sweetheart will run, but it was very rough starting. So let's go ahead and take a look at this carburetor and see if it's got any gunk in it or anything like that and get it cleaned up. And then we'll move on and check the valves on it. I see this is leaking too all the way around here. Yuck. And we'll check the valves and the cobby and see what else this thing needs. Let's go. Of course, they can't all be the same size. I mean, some have to be 7 and some are 8. Oh yeah, there's another one out here. I remember this. I've worked on one of these before. It's got a silly little plastic carburetor with no adjustments on it. Yep, there it is. Ta-da! It's probably a big part of what we got a problem with. It's interesting linkage right there. I'm going to pull this top off so we can see that better. Can you see the top? There you go. I'm going to pull this off so we can actually see around this better. Is it an 8? Huh. It most certainly is. We'll just put that back there somewhere. Yeah, it's interesting. This thing just has a linkage that runs over here to a little thing that heats up as the engine heats up and turns the choke off. But in the meantime, it's got a light spring and the choke can kind of just flop around after it starts up. And that keeps it from over choking. Get me some fuel line squeezer offers here. And get some pliers to remove our clamp. Or just get some normal pliers after it. I call these normal. You may experience different kind of pliers that you think are normal. pair of needle noses in here to kind of pop that off that carburetor, being ever so gentle because the whole carburetor is plastic. So there's no doubt that the nipple on this hose barb is plastic as well. There we go. Probably want to drain that anyway. Now we'll ever so gently mess with this linkage as we pop this carburetor off. It just sets back on here. Get our choke linkage off, and then get our governor linkage off. And there we go. We got a loose carburetor. Let's pop the bottom off of it and take a look at it. Alrighty, let's pop the bowl off this sweetheart and see exactly what we got. I think those are 7s or whatever the fractional equivalent of that is. And let's see what's behind this door. Bunch of water. Big puddle of water right there. Let me grab a cleaner towel and clean that up a little bit. I didn't say a clean one, I said a cleaner one. Just want to kind of get it under control before it gets too far away. There we go. Yeah, there's a bunch of water in there, but outside of that, nothing looks too bad. Pretty clean. Yeah, that's working. Jet looks fairly clean. Let's pop this sweetheart out of here and we'll blow some carb cleaner through it just to make sure she's all as good as she ought to be. I'd imagine she's pretty peachy though. It looks at everything in here. Pretty clean. There we go. Interesting. This is kind of gunky on the end here. But as long as the O-rings and everything seal up good, it should be all right. I'm gonna lay this down here. Then I'm going to take carb cleaner, blow in here, and it should come out somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, it's just got the ball in the end, so let's lay my end of my screwdriver under here so it'll quit popping a wheelie on us. Make sure I don't squirt this in my eyeball. Pretty much squirted it everywhere. But we can see we got fluid coming out of here, and that passage has a crossover that comes over to here and comes out here as well. This is the emulsion tube, and there is no low speed on these things because they only run at full throttle. So let's turn this way. See if I can do this. Hold that down with one finger. Get our can lined up with this hand. And we got it coming out here and down here both, so we're good. It's a little harder than I wanted to do it, but that's all right. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with this sweetheart at all. Let's stick him back together. Squish that in there real hard. Take a look in here. I don't see any more water, so I think we're all right there. And I can't remember if this goes this way. Let's see, over like this. Yeah, I think so. I remember it goes on one way pretty good, and the other way just really not worth a darn. That's the not worth a darn way. That way is not worth a darn either. What in tarnation's happening here? Put that in backwards. A little too far. Getting a nice shower outside. Let's go this way. Same thing. Well, I know the darn thing come off here. So one way or another, it's got to go back on. When I start putting the horsepower to it, she doesn't slide on very good. What did I do? I'm sure this goes this way because there's a wider gap here than here. And that's all the way down that way. Some of the littlest things can befuddle me. I was trying to use the wrong holes. It uses these holes instead of those holes. Some days. See if we can get that O-ring to go back in there. Oh yeah. Almost like it really, really wanted to. There we go. That's back in. We'll get our 2 screws. I think these are them. Put them back in here. Can you hear the thunder? Nice rolling rain, thunder. It is 8 o'clock at night and fairly dark here. It's been a while since we had a nice soaking shower, so this is really nice. I wish I would have left my bike out in it, but outside of that, it's great. Alrighty, there's absolutely no adjustments on this thing whatsoever. So let's get her stuck back on there and we'll move on to the next step. We'll check this thing's valves and see what that's like. Who knows? Alright, gotta hook up our linkages. Get the governor hooked up. The choke. Come on, baby. There we go. Then I think, if I remember right, that has to go behind there. Well, let me just, nope, it doesn't. Whew, that was a close one. I'll slide that on there. This carburetor and this whole mower is certainly designed to the lowest common price they could possibly do. Well, it's no wonder people just throw these away and buy another one. You know, I'm going to drain that fuel out of there. We had some gas in that carburetor. Of course we had gas. We had some water in that carburetor, so let's just drain the rest of the fuel out of the tank. Oh yeah, we got water in there. That'd have been a recipe for disaster. My pan's not very clean, but you can see the water floating around in it. That'll about do it. Let me get rid of this before I spill it. Yeah, you can see it dripping water out right now. You can see how it beads up. A bunch of water right up here on the front of it. Yeah, that's water in the fuel. So I think before we hook that back up, maybe we should blow a little air in there and kind of evacuate a little bit more fluid. As soon as I find my air gun. Found it. That should keep our troubles down to a minimum. Tell you what, it's really starting to come down out here. Like I say, super dark. Not super dark, it's just getting dark. You can see the rain falling down in the light out there. Pretty cool. See if we can catch some lightning here. Oh yeah, that was lightning. There's some more. It's kind of above the low clouds. They're pretty cool nonetheless. Well, that's what the weather's like here in the Kansas City area of Missouri. Alrighty, I'm going to clean up our air box just a little bit and then we'll set this back together. Well, we got our air box back on, the 2 little screws and the 2 bigger screws. All that's done. Put our brand spanking new filter back on. Somebody tried to save this at some point. And the cover. There we go. And we did not hook up the fuel line. Take care of that real quick. Right down this hole where you probably can't see it all. Put the clamp on. Now then, let's put a little bit of fuel in there. Go ahead and put some on it as well. Now, we worked on this last night, and it's been sitting in here all night. And it's about 1:30 the next day. So let's see if this thing will start up any easier for us than it did before. Cold start. Next start. That's pretty good. I would say that's a drastic improvement over what we had before. All right, so we know the sweetheart will run. Let's go ahead and check the valves before we get it hot. We just want to make sure this thing is tuned and ready to roll the best it can be. This is our little valve cover. We're going to pull it off and see if we can adjust some valves in there. I've never been inside one of these, so it'll be interesting to see. Well, that was loose. Yeah, that one is too. Is there any more? No, that's it. She's a bit stuck. We'll have to unstuck it. Oh, it sits inside of there. This is part of the head, and this is part of the cover that's supposed to come off. I was pulling on the wrong thing. Oh yeah, she's got adjustable valves. Look at that. Isn't that cute? There goes our intake. Let's see here. No, I reckon that's the intake. And that tall one there is the exhaust. Intake. Coming up on compression, there is the bump for the compression release. Wait till we're off of that, and we should be able to adjust these valves right there, at least check them. I think in terms of millimeters, so I always have to think about this a little bit. 5 would be 0.13 millimeter, 5 thousandths. That's probably okay. Let's see where we are on the exhaust. It probably should have a little bit more gap here. That's 8 thousandths or 0.2 millimeter. I gotta tell you, I just don't think that's not too bad. Let's see if we have any valve specs on this thing. No, don't see any. And really, I think this thing is probably designed to be thrown away before the valves need to be adjusted. Just the way it's made. I think that'd be the case. Yep, I like it. I think it's okay. If we did need to adjust these, you loosen this nut and just turn this shaft. You take an Allen wrench in here and you would turn it, and that's how you would actually adjust them. I'm going to clean this up a little bit, put some goop on this thing, and put it back together. Alrighty, let's clean up around here just a bit. Give that a spritz of air. Dry it up just a bit, and we put some of the world's best sealer on here, the 1207B Suzuki X-Star silicone gasket. And then we'll slip this sweetheart back on here. A whole bunch of gasket goo on it. And I'll tell you why I put that much on. These screws are like wood screws. They're very coarse pitched. Like they just go into the other piece of metal and make their own little threads there. So I want to make sure that we got plenty of sealer on there, because you're not going to be able to torque these down to any kind of thing. They're going to remain not very torqued. And our last one. All right, there we go. That'll do it for our valves. Everything really looks in pretty good shape. Now this has got some oil up on here where this was leaking. So I'm gonna clean this up a little bit, just make sure this thing cools as good as it should. Put the rag back under there and hit her with some contact cleaner. And some compressed air as well. There, make sure this thing wants to cool as well as it can. That should take care of that. And we'll change the oil in this thing and sharpen the blade. You've only seen me do that about 300 times, but I can show you again, that's not a problem. I'd be willing to bet that's the same oil that was on this thing when it left the dealer, or actually left the Walmart or wherever it come from. It's probably the same oil, because it looks pretty terrible. And this thing doesn't have a tremendous amount of time on it. No good. She's broke. Somebody likes to fish, but not pick up their fishing line. They had some fishing line. These break right where the keyway is in them. Whenever you hit something hard, it just pops them apart like that. I don't know if I have any of those. I'll have to look and see. Good news, this turns into this. Yep, that'll do. Just like that. Now then, I think I should have got that blade too. Yeah, this blade is bent. See how this edge is pretty straight? This edge goes down like this. That's no good. We got our blade all sharpened up. We went with a different one. This one here is all bent, so we went with a different one. Remember, when you put these on here, you want to make sure the cutting edge is down and the wings are facing towards the deck. Well, if you're wondering what kind of oil we're using, well, this is what I got. So we're using it. It's Honda GN4. It's really motorcycle oil, but believe me, if it's good enough for a motorcycle, it's darn sure good enough for a lawnmower. Especially this lawnmower. What kind of oil do you use in your mower? Let me know. Put it down in the description down below. While you're down there, go ahead and subscribe too. Yeah, that's always good. Doesn't cost you a thing. Helps me out. We're right about there. There's full. We're a touch over, but we're going to run it first. And then if we need to take some out, we'll do it. All right, will it start back up? Place your bets. Here we go. It may take a few pulls since it's laying on its side for 3 hours, but maybe not. You know, for a cheap lawnmower, This is a good lawnmower. You know, if you're hunting for a cheap one. One will last a few seasons, mow a few blades of grass. Basic, no frills, no transmission to die, none of that. This one starts and runs good. I just don't think it has so much time on it. I think it got disposed of for whatever reason. Probably water and the fuel, the best I can tell. That's about the only real problem we had with this thing. We're going to take a power washer and power wash this thing. I am going to take and make sure all the wheels turn good. This is the high wheel model, so it does have that going for it. But that's a short list of what it's got going for it. I think we did fix the oil leak on the head, though. That's going to be good, too. Looks like we're missing a bolt on the handlebar here. Right here. We'll see what kind of bolt is on the other side, and we're also missing one right here. So I'll put those in, and we'll get this baby ready to go. Now I've decided at the end of these videos, we're going to go over what it costs to fix this mower. And I got to tell you, in this case, I've got about a pint of gas in it and a quart of oil. Not even a quart, probably half a quart, probably close to a pint of oil as well. But that's really all we got in this thing. Now the blade mount was broken, but I had one of those in my junk stash, so we got that and I swapped the blade out because the blade was bent. I had that too. So let's say if you didn't have the blade mount or the blade, you can probably pick both of those up for, I'm guessing, around 20 bucks. So this mower was most likely left outside, got water and the fuel, and then it wouldn't restart right. And that's really all there was wrong with this thing. We did a little bit of a tune-up on it. I did check the plug off camera, and it's fine. There's no reason really to mess with it. So really for probably less than $5, this baby's ready to mow again. And I don't know what it costs somebody to replace this mower, but I am going to guess it's more than $5. So thanks for watching, guys. This is Mower Repair, and I do appreciate you tuning in and visiting with us. If you got any comments, please leave them down in the comment section. Like and subscribe to the video. And as always, God bless.